Okay, great. Yeah, so we are live. Great. Good evening, everybody. This is Protalks. So welcome to another edition of Protalks by Superpro.ai. I'm your host, Gaurav Tripathi, CEO and co-founder of Superpro.ai. And this evening, I'm back with another amazing Super Pro. And as you know by now, that we keep featuring Super Pros on this Pro Talk. The intent is always to feature professionals who have worn multiple hats and who have been through their own journey which they can share with us, and hopefully all of us, everybody who is watching, will get to learn something from it. So today, yes, I have another amazing Super Pro, GS Kumar, who, um, who will talk about how to uh, ride this crisis, really, and from a job search perspective, or from a career perspective, how to do it right, and how to really get over this crisis. So, and okay, those who are watching it live, you already know that yes, there is a chat box, so you can put your questions in the chat. I will take it towards the end of the session, or I may take it even during the session. And if you're watching it on LinkedIn, yes, you can put in the comments, the questions in the comments there as well. I'll take it up. And those who might be watching the recorded version later on, don't despair. You can still put the comments, put your questions in the comments, and we will send it to GS and he can answer it later. So don't worry. And of course, you can reach out GS Kumar on his Super Pro page. The link to his page is going to be in the description and the comments. So with that, let's get started. Over to you, GS. Please give a short introduction about you.
Very good evening, Gaurav, and it is absolutely a pleasure and delightful to be this evening with you all. And hopefully, I'll give some productive inputs in terms of career and job prospects, in terms of recruiters' perspective on how we look at this particular scenario and all that. So before that, as you said, I'll give some short introduction about the backstory so that you understand the little information, little insight about the background. So I did my bachelor's in computer science and master's in business administration. After that, I joined a recruiting firm as a IT recruiter. Learned a lot of foundational information on recruiting platforms, recruiting tools, and placements and all that. So, which excited me to develop as a career as a recruiter because it gives a lot of learning on a day-to-day basis, like a sales profile. So every day you meet with different people at different levels, and you get to know their domain, industry, and whatnot. So that excited me to continue with the recruitment career. So first 10 years is purely hardcore recruitment and placements and working with multiple industries, all that, which excited and gave a lot of knowledge about the market industry. And if you are a recruiter, you get connected to a lot of uh, clients in terms of candidates and in terms of corporate clients, all that. So networking, huge networking happens there, and that's a plus for your learning curve. So first year, 10 years went in Coimbatore, aggressive placements. Then I moved to Bangalore for career options. So I worked with Wipro and Manipal Global Education as talent acquisition roles. And this is something the other side of recruitment where I understood what happens during a corporate recruitment. So there I understood a lot of tools, techniques, and multiple stuff related to corporate related hiring, on why a hiring is happening and what kind of cost saving they plan when they are recruiting an individual. All that I have learned. And due to personal reason, I have to quit Manipal, and then I have to start my own because that kind of time is a very struggling time on 2016, where I ended up with a lot of personal issues and started my own things, and that's how GS Kumar was started, and it's purely like career consulting firm where we help individuals, job seekers who are looking for jobs, help in resume development, LinkedIn optimization, and job interview coaching, career consulting on career break, all that kind of stuff. So it's roughly around 4.5 years of a strong a startup kind of a journey where I have learned a lot, networked with a lot of people, and satisfaction comes when people get success by adopting our techniques and recommendations and advices and all that. So people do chat and give a lot of information when they come back and say, "I got a job," right?
Great.
So it's little emotional and sensitive, and that gives a great job satisfaction when you solve a great issue which is very sensitive to an individual. So that's the journey so far. Um, and this would in this webinar, I would like to give lot many insight in terms of jobs, careers, or the process which is happening inside all that,
Mhm.
because this is the industry where a lot of gossips and a lot of dynamics happens more than a political game or movie industry, right?
Great.
So
I think there is no better uh, better service than I think the biggest challenge that most of the people always face is getting that dream job, yeah, or moving up in the career. So definitely, I see if you are able to get some help from someone who can put you on the right path for either of those or both of these. Yes, definitely that will be great. So great. Thanks, GS, for the introduction. Uh, I would want to start with your journey itself. So when I see that yeah, you did your computer science BSc, then you did your MBA and you started the recruiter. But while you were doing MBA, yeah, while you were studying, and what was going on in your mind? So going after or starting as a recruiter, was it a conscious choice, and what made you go after that career path at the start of your career?
no, while doing an MBA, back in mind, I had the inspiration to become an entrepreneur, right? But at that point in time, there was no such kind of an option where we have this meetups, LinkedIn, social media. Nothing was there, right? So it was purely depend upon certain individuals or networking. All that happens, but we don't have a career roadmap for becoming an entrepreneur, or no such advices was available at that point in time, right? And starting a recruiter is something. MBA is a course where you give a lot of basic information about marketing, HR, and all that. Where HR excited me because it is a people-oriented job, so you get to meet with a lot of people, collaborate, understand their psychology, sensitivity. That inspired to get into a HR kind of a domain. But HR generalist is something I don't want to go because it's something uh, more to do with process oriented task, execution of task, all that. Rather, I want to combine like a sales and HR kind of a profile where recruitment was the right platform to do that. Because in recruitment, I strongly believe you should have a sales attitude in recruitment. Otherwise, you will not be very successful, right? So because as a recruiter you have to wear multiple hats. You have to represent another organization to your candidate, where you have to sell the potential client to the candidate. There
Mhm.
you do a lot of sales. You have to sell this candidate to potential client, where you have to negotiate a lot in terms of multiple things. So sales, hardcore sales attitude is required for a recruiter. So that's why this excited me a lot, and that's how this consulting firm kind of a business also got an understanding on how it works. Like, most of the consulting firm, HR consulting firms, may not have much of numbers of employees. There are minimum 4 people, 5 people, 10 people to the max, right? So that is the industry where you learn a lot,
Mhm.
because you have to involve in sales. You have to know how many number of clients are available.
So,
Uh,
DS, I'll interrupt you there. So good that you say that. Yeah, recruitment is more like sales. Yeah, I personally have seen, I've realized over a period of years. Yes, it's not that simple as it sounds. That you're simply calling up people and yeah, you're getting them. It's never that simple. It's definitely so great analogy with sales. But when did you realize that recruitment is very much like sales? When did that realization happen?
After working for 6 months, I realized that I'm not a HR person. I have to wear multiple hats, because you got to know that what is the next month, next quarter's target, right? And how many potential clients are available
Hmm.
to reach that target. All that analysis, you have to sit with your MD to understand what it happens, because he keeps pinging you on the number of closures, number of clients, and all that. So you have to run your thought process towards that as well, so that your execution in terms of recruitment happens very, very successful. Because the number of hit ratio, it's not in our hand. As in recruiter's hand, is there is nothing. Like, almost 60% you get into a stage where you push candidates for interviews. Rest all, it happens during, depending on the candidate's technical performance, CTC negotiations, fitment, all that is out of control, right? So obviously you have to increase the number of placements, which is a chain reaction for your number of clients, plus number of positions, plus
Hmm.
interviews, the job offers. It's a 360-degree chain. So that's how I understand how it works and all that in a consulting firm. That's a base for it.
Okay, and then you started with recruitment and a certain field, but then very soon you were recruiting people across different sectors. So how did how did that happen exactly? Like, did you face a challenge when you started, let's say, recruitment from one sector? For example, so you started with IT, but then you had to recruit for BFSI, for telecom, textile, automobile, etc. So all of these different sectors. Did you face a challenge in jumping to these many sectors, or how was it?
No, when you have a passion towards something, jumping into different sectors is not a very great thing. It actually inspires and motivates to do more work, right? So, like I said, it's a sales role, and every day you get to know new things, you know,
But
and that's.
how did you prepare yourself? Like, was there some preparation involved, or was it just seamless that okay, today I'm doing IT, tomorrow I'll start doing BFSI? How was it?
Definitely, initial understanding must be there. You have to understand the client requirement, understand
Mhm.
the background of the client, all that is required.
And
Initial,
any
uh,
understanding on the sector side is that required?
no, when we started, see, like this scenario, this decade is different from the Esther decade. So when we started recruitment, there is no classification on multiple things. Like, if you are a recruiter, you have to recruit anybody, right, from a contract entry level position to a CXO. That is the level of recruitment we started with. Right now, there is a lot of classification in terms of only IT, only
Mhm.
non-IT. only volume hiring, all that classification comes afterwards.
Okay.
But when I started, there was no such classifications at that point in time. So in a day, I used to work three different clients, three different positions.
Wow.
So that's how, like, one will be in the morning, like Java, .NET, all that testing, all that. Afternoon it will be more of BFSI sales profiles, because sales guys we cannot call in the morning. So afternoon they'll be like little relaxed. So we'll call them for insurance jobs, because at that point in time insurance became privatized and a lot of companies popping up and all that. So we were doing lineups, everyday lineup for sales manager for BFSI telecom. So it was like more exciting, like, I have to find a guy for this. That's how placement works, and that's how you're motivated to get more incentive. Incentive and knowledge passion works together, and then that's how it produced results. So I don't see it as a challenge, but learning was, initial preparatory things was there to understand the background of the industry, competitors, all that preparatory aspect. Definitely 1 or 2 days is required, so that your execution and number of interviews, all that has been very successful.
Interesting. So here again, as you progressed, yeah, so as you mentioned earlier, that now it's very different. Now it has gotten very specialized than the earlier decade. But in this, why do you see that now the specialization really happened? That now people look for this. If you are only IT, or so the sector specificity which has come now, what do you think is the reason, has been the reason for that?
Understanding the terminology is very very required in terms of certain sectors, so that the employers or consulting firms feel that, okay, if you're from a computer science background, you understand the terminologies bit more easier, rather for if you are coming from an engineering background,
Interesting.
right? So if you're an engineer and have done MBA, then you're a good fit for automobile sourcing, manufacturing sourcing, all that. That is a perspective they see, but I don't see or call it as that's a right kind of classification, right? So if you have to cook, you just have to understand the recipe and then uh, follow that aspects and then prepare it. That's all. If you are more being more specific, more focused towards, more narrow towards a particular sector, your opportunities are very very limited. So right now I could see healthcare recruiters, you know that's very very specific to only healthcare. But even though there is a lot of sub verticals in healthcare, they will learn a lot in healthcare, but they may not know what is happening in telecom or the other IT sectors or BPO. They may not know. So that's the negative point, I would say, because the process wise, it's exclusive, mutually exclusive for every other sectors right now, right? So IT, as you know, there will be multiple rounds of interviews where the process delay and other things has to happen. So the recruiter has to be really, really aggressive to bring the candidate into the stage of offer or onboarding, all that, because a lot of efforts happens, because IT is a domain where till last year a lot of opportunities were popping up, and each candidate were holding multiple offers, and you have to sell, really sell the company and candidate together, all that happens. So IT recruiter is a very really really aggressive guy, aggressive background has to happen, otherwise he cannot survive. But
Interesting.
whereas engineering recruiter, the understanding towards the terminologies or jargons,
Mm.
once that is there, those professionals are really really good. Like, they don't have to be pushed for interviews, or they even they call you to, for further follow-ups and all that. So that's the differentiation I could see in each different sector. The thought process, the professionalism varies between sectors by sectors. That's the differentiation I could see.
Wow, very interesting. I never imagined that this is so nuanced at that level. Wow. Yeah. Great. So, so you've been through journey now. I see. So you mentioned about GS Kumar. So uh, how did that happen? When did you decide to start GS Kumar, and what was the motivation behind starting that?
It's all about survival. So it so happened like some very personal loss has happened during my work scenario 2016. My father passed away, and
Oh,
I have to resign my job and go back to native. All that happened, and when I came back and searched for jobs, there was nothing, literally nothing. And I was keep giving interviews, but right, like for talent acquisition role, supply is more than the demand. So when you go with that level of experience, obviously your salary levels are a bit more higher uh, when it is compared to the other individuals. So I got a very bad hit on when I attended interviews. Though I have talents, though I had vast experience, all that, the CTC front I was keep getting rejected. So that's when I chose to start with something so that I start surviving on this scenario, because I can't keep going on interviews and ending up with nothing, right? So I started freelancing the resume writing part, because since I have the backup of recruitment experience, I know what is required in a resume, and bit of content writing experience was also there with me. So that's why I started my freelancing journey, so that I mean, for to pay my bills in a month and survival, all that had happened. It so happened was Bangalore was so kind and accommodating and helpful for a freelancer like me, who was like nothing, starting from nothing. And I just posted in Facebook, LinkedIn, and whatever tools I have. That's how I started my journey. And it so happened a couple of clients started. 6 months was huge struggle. uh, One I get, one I may not get that way. So after 6 months, it was never ending, because I started with some USP in process, because I can't be one among 100 resume writers, where resume writers is something you can find in every street. So that is the number of writers you have available. So what I made it a point is, okay, this uh, a random way of doing things may not work. Let me adopt some concepts which I have learned in MBA, so that I implement certain things, experiment it. There is nothing to lose.
mhm.
It's just trying to implement something, float it. Let's see what it happens. So that's why I started USP, unique selling proposition for resume writing. So my USP is infographic resume, where I
Wow.
prepare resume in PPT and then convert to a PDF. When I say infographic resume, the look and feel, cosmetic changes will be in bar chart, and a lot of career timeline will be there. So for that, recruiters can quickly understand the information rather than the 15
So
bullet
a quick
points.
question on that, GS. So great that you do the infographic and people get. So it definitely, I'll say from a layman perspective, yes, it starts looking nice. But how do you prove that yet it really does work? Is there any in terms of the result that okay you did this infographic resume for somebody and he got a job, so in terms of the results, can do you have any numbers that you can talk about that where the employability goes up because of such a resume format?
Definitely. See, most of the this gossips or thought process, what happens is we have to prepare our resume for the ATS related stuff, right? So that's how people talk. See, ATS is something applicable when you apply for a job posting, right? So because ATS is integrated in lot many corporates and
True.
consulting firms, all that. So my resume may not work in that way, because I uh, work out for the unpublished jobs. So unpublished jobs, in a sense, recruiters proactively do searches for their requirement rather than being reactive to job postings because of the time consumption it takes,
Oh,
right?
interesting.
So if you post a job today, overnight you will get 2000 profiles, relevant profiles, irrelevant profiles, all that you get overnight. That's the level of number of hit ratio it happens through job posting.
True.
But a recruiter standpoint is something I will be reactive in job posting where I have to screen every other resume
True.
and try to fix the particular profile for my position, right? Which where which it is results in delay in process. Second things, I may not get a right fit, 100% right fit for my profile. All that happens, and it's a very time consuming process. So that's a reactive process. For this, I don't prepare a resume. Okay, I prepare a resume for proactive recruiters where they source profiles from Naukri, LinkedIn, Monster, all that,
Okay. Okay.
where they use search strings, key skills to source profiles,
Mm-hmm.
and they use the CTC budget for aspects. How is the availability of notice period?
Mm-hmm.
All that is a factor for considering a profile, right? So there you have to give your resume in a very, three things you have to give in a resume. One is factual information. You quantify whatever you have done in the past. I call it three different ways to represent this: time, cost, and effort. Whether you have saved time, whether you have saved your efforts, where you have saved the cost, all that you have to quantify it and then project it in the summary so that they understand, okay, this guy speaks factual information,
Mm.
right?
Very interesting. So,
Uh,
so to reiterate, it is about that whatever you are talking about, talk about results and in an objective manner, not that I've been doing X, Y, Z, right? Yeah, please
yeah.
carry on.
So second thing is, don't give more information also because it will be overwhelming, and usually these IT profiles will give more information because the number of projects they have done. So
Yeah.
15 projects, 16 projects. See, recruiters, we don't even read and we don't even understand what is the projects you have done in the past, right? So that way overwhelming content will not be also helpful. At the same time, don't restrict to one page, two page, or all that. That is also extreme. Like, I don't even get enough information to shortlist you, right? So that also needs to be stopped. So give in enough information where I see there is a potential to match, and it should trigger me to call you for an interview. That should be the
That's
potential.
very interesting, James, that you talk about. So I have this question always in my mind. What's the ideal or the ideal number of pages that a resume should have?
It is actually a customized profile depending on the candidate, because
Okay.
the more information which is required for a job is what we have to give, right? It should be more like a teaser rather than a full movie, right?
Wow. Okay.
A teaser should trigger you to go to a movie rather than, you, if you just get all full information, then what is the point, right?
Yeah. So it's like
So
it's if I say it right, it's like your resume should be a teaser in a manner that the objective of the resume is to just get that call. Correct.
yes, yes, exactly. You got the right aspect. So this is like phase by phase, right? Like we call it in construction, phase one, phase two, like that. Yeah. So phase one is, you have to get an interview call. Okay, for that you have to prepare your document. I mean, document in the sense resume, LinkedIn, Naukri, whatever. Prepare it. First phase. Second phase is you get an interview call. Go to that interview stage. There should be a consultation has to happen with the hiring manager and the candidate, right? Only then you will also get to know more pulse towards the profile and the company and background, all that, and you also get to project yourself in a customized manner, based on the expectation from the employer, right? Most of the candidates mention every other information, whatever they have done in the past, like 10 years, 15 years. I've done this, I've done that. Okay. But it becomes an assumption and miscommunication, both. to the hiring manager that okay, this guy have done so much, so what is it contributing, really contributing, you know, that way. Or otherwise people will give very vague information that it miscommunicates and there is loss of opportunity, right? So rather, our aim is to get into an interview where we have a chance to express ourselves, right? So you customize your offering based on the number of questions which is suited out, right? So that way you picture. But as far as the resume is considered, it only have to give only three things. One is factual, second is easy to read, right? You should not give so many information and which is very vague. People don't have time.
Yeah.
And the one thing which I understood while recruitment is which I always inform the clients is we recruiters, being corporate recruiters or consulting firm recruiters, we work on targets, right? We have a submission target every day, like 6 profiles in a day, 9 profiles every day, that much. Okay,
Right.
you can think of the time spent on each profile, right? So max to max 10 seconds. That's what we look at it.
Wow.
So people call it 6 seconds, 7 seconds, but I would say like 10 to 15 seconds is max to max for a resume, right?
Okay.
To really understand whether it is a potential for a job. That's how we look at it. So with that 15 seconds, whether you are able to communicate what you're trying to communicate, that I'm a potential candidate for your job, that we have to communicate rather than giving lot of cluttered information, messy information, which I don't even want. See, it should be like a business proposal rather than the resume,
Hmm.
right? In a business
True.
proposal, it is very, very specific. Okay, this is the service, this is the cost. That's all, right?
Good. Good.
There is no multiple things. That's how it should be. So, be it IT, sales, HR, whatever it is, quantify it. That's the input I want to give. Quantify, contemplate in terms
Interesting.
of time, cost, effort, and think what you have done in the past. Definitely, you could have done something in the past. Only thing is, you have to sit and contemplate, put it in the paper, and then transform into a right sentences in the resume. That's how it works.
So this resume writing service itself, if I talk about them, at so what kind of a person or at what stage I am, then I should go for such a service? It's like anybody can go for it, anybody should go for it, or is it something that you say that okay, if you have a criteria to shortlist, they're saying that yeah, if you fit this criteria, then only you should come to me for this service.
The first thing is the challenge what they have faced in the market. If they are keep on applying, then there is no interview calls, then there is something wrong, right? Or otherwise, if they are keep on sending to various known people, familiar people, and they keep giving a feedback on, okay, this is good, that is good, because resume is something everybody can give opinions, right? So
Yeah.
that doesn't need an expert to give opinion. So anybody can give an opinion. So that way they keep on iterating and end up in wrong results. Rather, go for professionals and then prepare a very great resume, because most of the people, 90% of the people may not know how to put it in a paper on their background, right? Skills and all that. Because we can talk a lot, but when we are putting in a paper, it should be like very structured one. It should give a story, it should give highlights, it should give it should appear as if we are an expert in that field rather than a desperate job seeker.
True.
So that is actually a skill
Mhm.
where which needs to be outsourced rather than doing it ourselves, right?
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
we have templates. Google provides a lot of information, templates, these, that, right? But it is only a template, and you can just fit the information there, but you cannot inspire recruiters, right? Because you don't know for which particular job you're applying for which particular position you will fit for. So one static resume may not fit for every other job. It's a very dynamic content. So you have to customize, you have to know what is your skill, what is your minus, all that you have to know. Then you highlight the skill which you can really contribute to the business.
So, yes, when somebody approaches you for this, so even so, not just for resume writing, but even let's say I want your help, I want to seek your help, I want your coaching to prepare for an interview. So all of it, when somebody approaches you, yeah, what's the process? How do you get started? Do you ask them like lot of questions, or you just get on a call and you get started? How does that look like, the engagement?
First is we have a talk to career advisor kind of service where we have a Zoom call meetings or telephonic discussions on whatever their challenges. It's an individual, customized, individual challenge which they want some advices towards it. So where we do a phone consultation on their pain points and address to it, be it a career break or lost a job in layoff or not getting interview calls, whatever challenges related to jobs and careers, we do a phone consultation, and then we resolve the issues, and that way we start with the other services if at all it is required.
Okay. And how is it really like? Is it does it happen over a series of sessions or multiple calls, or is it just one call wherein you resolve everything?
The first call will be more of understanding the issues,
Okay.
and if at all, if we are we can solve it through some recommendations or advices, all that they can solve the issues. But if
Mhm.
it is required for preparatory preparation in terms of resume or LinkedIn or other aspects, we recommend them some of the services where it will help them. We help in optimizing their Naukri profile as well, and LinkedIn optimization as well, so that their profile views gets increased massively. Because being a recruiter, I know how it operates from the recruiter's desk on Naukri. So I will give some tricks and tips to improvise their profile performance in Naukri. So where it's a happening place, most happening place is Naukri and LinkedIn. So there, if you are optimizing, your profile views and number of calls will definitely increase. So this have resulted in with some of the clients, it has resulted in 10 days, 15 days, and all that, where there really
Wow.
results have happened, and they got interview calls, and they cracked some of the
So
interviews.
to understand it clearly, you are saying just like in 10 to 15 days, it can happen.
Yes, yes,
Wow, wow,
ah,
that's really a really super turnaround time.
yeah. So website, a lot of people do the SEO
Yeah.
for Google to understand I'm existing.
Hmm.
Same way we have to do it in Naukri and LinkedIn, but in a different tricks and manipulation.
Wow,
So that's
interesting,
how, yeah, yeah, yeah. So
interesting.
you just have to appear. I mean, you have to create visibility among recruiters who are searching for a particular skill, rather than you being one of the candidate of 2,000 candidates who are doing the same process of applying to jobs.
Interesting.
That's the differentiation we are trying to do.
Interesting. So now you call yourself a career coach as well. So what is a career coach exactly?
Career coach, most of the professionals who completed 10 years, 15 years, they are got stuck in some of the areas where they don't know what to do, because they have a strong hardcore background in one particular domain,
Hmm.
but they are not getting any level up in terms of designations or CTC, or you know they don't know what really have to do.
So they
So
get they
when
get stagnant at one level and are able to move up the ladder.
yes, yes, and most of the sectors or domain have supplies more than the demand. So I mean, obviously they are struggling to get jobs and all that. So, and lot many women who have a career break due to personal reasons, they
Hmm.
want to come back again,
Oh,
so they
yes,
don't
yes.
know where to start. So for those people we do career coaching sessions, so to give inputs, technical inputs, and more than technical inputs, it's the confidence level we have to give to the potential people, where they should realize they are really skillful. you know that is the thing. So because when you individually you contemplate, you feel like there is something lag here, I can't do this, I cannot move out, all that. But when it comes to professionals, you discuss and understand that you are really skillful. I project them that this is your core skills. Here you can really contribute. Okay.
Mm.
So that way I make them realize that these are the areas which is your strength, which is your skill, where you can contribute to current employment. So there we start the journey to more than technical inputs. It's giving the confidence and giving psychological analysis on what they are up to, all that, and then prepare their resume, LinkedIn, and all that, so that they get into the market.
So again, talking in terms of the target audience, your target audience for this career coaching. So would you say that this is typically you're looking at professionals who are mid level? So maybe they have 10 to 15 years of experience. Is that your target audience?
It's a bifurcation. I mean, challenge is going to be the same for every other individual, right? From freshers to CXO, getting
Hmm.
interview calls is a common challenge, right?
Right. Right.
So for which we address, I mean, fix the issues in terms of resume and all that. So in terms of customized challenges, we address it. But target audience, if you could see, it starts from freshers itself, fresher to CXO level.
Oh, great. Okay. So, all of the freshers, alert! Yeah, you can talk to GS. Yes,
Right.
great. Okay. And then, how does this career coaching thing works? Like, it's same. You get on a call, and then is it a program of a few sessions? Or how does it happen?
Huh. As I said, initial call will be understanding the whole background, plus and minus, and all that.
Hmm.
Later, we provide our own services, recommend our services to take it up and do a 360-degree of preparations. You know, so it's the preparation which meets the opportunity. That's how it is,
So,
right?
so is it a standard program of certain a number of sessions, or is it customized that you customize for each individual? How's it?
It is very much customized based on their pain point and budget.
Wow. Wow.
So that way we start giving inputs, because I also realize that when you're a job, you're not in a job, then there is always struggle to in terms of investing for ourselves, right? There is It's a very sensitive issues. So there we address that. Okay, based on your budget, you can take up certain packages, services, and all that. So that way we produce results. And people who are really have challenges, we do some extra efforts in terms of getting into the stage of interview.
Interesting.
That way we help. Not that we limit to certain packages and we tell that okay, for this particular cost only this. No. So for certain really struggling people, we push ourselves to more chances.
And is it something that is always one-on-one session, or do you also like take a group session? So having a few four, five, or whatever, six, eight people in a group, you do it. How's it?
See, job and career is more sensitive and more customized. So I take it on a one-on-one basis, because mostly like senior level people, they want to they cannot disclose just like that. I'm just desperate to look for a job and all that. It's very sensitive. So mostly I take one-on-one sessions, which they'll also be very free to express their pain points, weaknesses, and all that, so that I address quickly on their
So
solution.
I think very important point. I think for everybody, yes. So whatever you talk about when you when you talk to GS about your career coach, yes, it's a one-on-one conversation, and yeah, stays confidential. So yes, that's helpful. Great.
True.
Okay. I'll. I, I want to go back to the moment. So, uh, when you were struggling, when you were down, and you said that yes, you were trying to get back. in the job, and that's where things. So what did you realize that out of that experience? Yeah, what did you learn out of it?
It's a fantastic question. Uh, it's very very sensitive and very very emotional. So when the kind of emotional things which goes inside is very very tricky. See, once you are jobless, your confidence level is goes down drastically, right? So you don't even realize your potential that you can do certain things, right? So and when you are not occupied, a lot of negative things pops up and a lot of thought process happens. Like management of those negative aspects is really really crucial. So I practice heartfulness meditation for managing myself and managing the thought process, all that, and keep at a balance in terms of thinking and maintaining peace and maintaining my stress level, all that. That helped a lot. Number one. Number two, I wanted to become more busy, so I started networking with a lot of people and networking. Started attending meetups, all that,
Wow, wow,
so that I get along with people, understand that like me there are 100 people, right? So that way, if you are sitting individually at home and all that, you feel that you are low and you cannot help. Rather, if you go on networking with Meetup and LinkedIn and a lot of seminars which was happening physically at that point in time, you get to know that these are normal and it is acceptable. All that, right? Survival wise, I started freelancing, all that. So networked a lot, spoke to a lot of people, all that. That way, I kept myself busy rather than becoming very passive and dull, right? So and I was keep on thinking creating new packages which can really helpful, and that's how the process. But job search process was parallel because I cannot survive with the random income which I'm generating per month, right? So I wanted a hardcore job. So for that I did Naukri optimization for myself,
wow,
which resulted which resulted in getting more interviews rather than just applying the jobs. So that way I adopted my tricks for myself and got more interviews, attended multiple interviews. But the challenge was remained the same, like CTC was too higher, we cannot accommodate, all that happened. But I thought that is the point. I realized, okay, this is working but not for me, but it can work for the other people also, right?
wow,
So that where I clubbed this particular service to my resume writing, so that okay, resume writing is now resume is right now prepared. Now what happens for the interview? Now I do optimization for you, so that you get interview calls, because that is the challenge for many of the candidates, skill level candidates. So that worked wonders, right? So another 6 months, this is the package where I clubbed and sold for better price, and that worked wonders. And a lot of people start referring because they since they got results, they started referring. So their friends and colleagues and all that.
wow,
But one thing is, by looking at the infographic resume, the look and feel, they got inspired. Second thing, since they got results comparing to the previous month I got only one call. Now I got five calls. That's the range of results which was generated through Naukri optimization. So that communication happened and shared through the colleagues and friends. So that way, references came up. I started increasing my pricing because I have generated results.
wow.
That way, slowly, slowly it picked up. Maybe God's grace, or I mean that I would call it that way, or uh, the kind of Bangalore people who trusted me, all that I'm very very thankful. I'm giving my gratitude towards them.
You know,
So that was
this is super. This is super, GS. Really, so to everybody, here is the important note. So whatever GS was talking about, yeah, he hasn't cooked this thing from air, or he's not talking about things based on a theoretical study. He has practiced it himself. He has perfected that art by doing it himself and producing results for himself and then iterating the same with people over a period of time. So yes, what you will get from GS now is something which which is tried, tested, proven, and definitely not theoretical, very much practical. It works. So yes, please do think of it while reaching out to him. Yeah.
Perfect. Sounds really really good. And
So now, James, what's your advice? So, given of course the current crisis, and also before the advice, actually, I'll ask you only. What have you seen since the lockdowns of March onwards? How's the recruitment scene, the employment scene that you witness right now? How is it?
people generally term it as layoff, but I term it as restructuring. So restructuring is what has happening with multiple industries, where I would call now their thought process is whether this role is relevant for our business, whether this department is relevant for our business. That way
Wow.
the thought process has changed. I won't call it as layoff, because layoff is something appearing like negative. I don't want to be give like negative input. I would call it restructuring. So that way, since business has to survive, they have to take some decisions in terms of relevancy of business survival, right? So that's the core of any business. Business survival is required for continuity, right? It's only a temporary setback. In terms of job prospects, you have to bifurcate the industries, where the industries which is giving more output, or the industries are not giving so much input. I mean output, right? Output have reduced drastically with couple of industries, starting from airlines and hotel, automobile, construction and real estate, textiles, uh, freights and logistics, which is these are all the industries which was depending on more towards physical movement, physical aspect, presence, all that physical, whichever is required a physical presence, movement, all those industries the output got reduced. So as a result, they have to restructure the hiring, right? So that way. So if you are choosing a job, you have to select industries which is performing and giving more output, right? And industries which can sell their product and services digitally. That is the industry you
Wow.
have to choose, so that the company is also growing, you also growing, right? So if they can't sell their product offline at this point in time, there is no logic, right? So e-commerce is such industry where digital sales can happen. IT industries, because a lot of cloud dependency is there for the people who are working at
True.
home, right?
True.
So in Bangalore, 75% of people are working from home. All that people are depending on cloud softwares,
True.
right? Be it Zoom meetings, be it Slack, or whatever you call it, tools which you are using, cloud services. So IT and software is really, really booming, right? So IT industry, e-commerce industries, and healthcare, of course. So lot many products and services are popping up due to this uh, level of pandemic, and the kind of fear which has been developed,
Mhm.
crafted, all that.
Right.
So these are industries which has more output. So
So
those
choose
industries you have to choose.
choose the industry first, and then look at the companies in there. Right.
Yes, definitely. You got the point right. First roadmap, first fixing is the industry. Which industry is performing? You list it out, like that way. And the one more industry I forgot is the gig industry, startups, which do multiple works for many of the industries, content writing, website, all that, right? And training, tech, education and training becoming massive. Like
Yeah.
everybody has started teaching, training, corporate training, skill development. This is becoming massive, massive,
True.
right? So these industries you pick up, list it out, and focus your energy towards only to this industry there, rather than applying to multiple industry, which will give you a bad result.
Amazing. So, GS, now that you are on Super Pro, what is it that people can reach out to you on your Super Pro AI page?
Initial consultation, because each individual pain point is different, so they can book a call for career consultation for their pain point, be it career break or career transition they want to do, or not at all getting interview calls, whatever it is. So we have fixed all issues in last 4.5 years. Okay, so a lot of iteration, lot of things has been successfully implemented, and only those successful results we will give you to for an action item, rather than just giving advice.
Sure.
Advice doesn't works here. It's not an astrology, right? Right. It's a skill where it's not by chance you are getting a job. It's for your skill you are getting a job,
True.
right? For the skill, whatever it is required, we will give you recommendation on certain action items so that you implement and get into uh, the right job.
Great. So, guys, you heard it. GS is available on his Super Pro page. The link is available in the chat. It will be available in the description as well when the video is posted. Do reach out to him, and so that will again, when you reach out to him on Super Pro page, you get to choose the date and the time slot. Yeah, and then the call happens very much on the Super Pro AI itself. So yes, it's again very personal one-on-one conversation that you are going to have with GS. So please go ahead and try it out, and who knows, maybe GS will be able to help you get that dream job or make that jump in your career. So great.
Definitely, definitely.
Great. Thanks a lot, GS. With that, yeah, we can close the session. We are about time. Thanks a lot for joining us and sharing the amazing your journey, as well as the wisdom, I'll say, and the experience that you have gotten through all these years. And I'm very sure everybody has taken note of the interesting tips that you already shared, and and how people should really go about the job search, improving their resume, and yes, thinking about the career. So I'm sure everybody loved it, enjoyed it. We'll definitely share the feedback with you later on. And with that, I'll close the session. Thanks a lot for joining us, and thanks a lot to all of you guys for joining us today evening. Yeah, cheers.
Yeah, it's actually wonderful, Gaurav. Like it's a very very friendly anchoring rather than being more professional, because I felt very very comfortable in this 1 hour. It
Thank
was
you.
more like talking to a friend rather than a very professional setup. You made me so comfortable. Thank you so much for that, and I'm looking forward to give a lot more inputs in terms of jobs and careers and fixing those issues. Thank you
Definitely.
so much. Thank you
We
so
are
much.
we are we are already looking forward, to have you back in one of our different sessions. So definitely, great guys. Thank you. So all of you are tuned in live here or on the platforms. Thanks a lot. You'll be able to watch the recording again on different platforms on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, everything. And yeah, we will be back. I will be back with another amazing Super Pro in the next session of Protalk next week. So stay tuned. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.